guys, Meredith with ExtremeTerrain.com, and today we are checking out the TerraFlex 2.5-inch coil spring base suspension lift kit with 9550 VSS shocks, fitting all 2018 and newer two-door JL Wranglers. Now, if your stock suspension is worse for wear and you're looking for a solid replacement for your suspension system, or if you have the intention of taking your two-door off-road and want some better performance, this TerraFlex kit is going to be a solid entry-level suspension solution. Now, this kit is great and is really tailored for the JL owner who doesn't want to get super involved with their suspension, but definitely needs an upgrade for better performance off-road, is looking to add a larger tire, and simply just wants more defined stance than the factory setup allows. I do want to mention that this kit will require a wheel with 4 3/4 inches of back spacing or less, or wheel spacers, so just keep that in mind when you're looking into this system. Now, this kit will be fairly simple compared to other more extensive kits. However, this is going to include everything that you need for that 2.5 inches of lift, which will give you a mild height that will have your JL clearing much more when it comes to off-road obstacles and allow you some better travel for improved articulation off-road. This kit will allow a 37-inch tire to fit, but you will need to remove the front splash guards if your Jeep is equipped to avoid any rubbing. 35s will allow more room to work with and will fit comfortably without looking out of place. Now, one of the biggest benefits that you'll get out of this kit will definitely be the ride quality. With a little bit of a stiffer shock, it's going to absorb much more and have more of a responsive feel when you're taking your Jeep off-road, while still remaining comfortable and also having a nitrogen charged design to extend the lifespan and resist shock fade over time, which will keep these benefits coming for years to come. Now, breaking the kit down when it comes to the construction, the springs first and foremost are going to be made of a high tensile steel construction and be very comfortable, especially paired with the 9550 shocks. Now, the shocks themselves are going to have a twin tube design, which will give you that comfortable feel. They'll have a gas charge design as well, which again is going to extend that lifespan and reduce any cavitation or foaming that forms inside of the shock that leads to shock fade and a squishy shock over time. These will also have a triple chrome plated rod, which will resist any nicks or chipping when it comes to off-road abuse and keep the shock sealed very effectively. Now, they'll also have premium rubber bushings that will offer a more robust construction compared to the factory ones that do tend to get brittle over time. Now, the other components will consist of the plastic bump stop extenders, and you'll also have some steel sway bar end links with a factory style construction for both the front and the back. Now, everything here will also have a black powder coat on top of the materials to resist any rusting or corrosion, which will keep them looking new over time. Now, this kit will come in at roughly $1,000, which in my opinion is affordable for what you're getting out of the kit. Now, in taking a look at suspension kits, a lot of the time the price is going to align with what's included in the kit. So the more that you see as far as features and components is the more you'll most likely be spending. This option, however, is going to include everything that's necessary to get you that 2.5 inches of lift while remaining comfortable and having a high quality construction. This is also going to include those small details that are going to give you that high performance feel to your Wrangler without completely breaking the bank. Now, getting into install, this is going to be a completely bolt-on kit, so you don't have to do any modification, but I am still going to give it a 3 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and with the right tools and setup, it should take you about 4 hours, give or take, to get the job done. Now, at this point, we can head over to our shop and show you a detailed step-by-step breakdown on how to get this kit onto a two-door JL. So that is going to wrap it up for me. Let's go ahead and get into it.
For this install, you need a clip removal tool, a flathead screwdriver, a 3/8 impact, a 15-inch 3/8 extension, a 5-inch 3/8 extension, a 3-inch extension, a 3/8 ratchet, an 8, a 10, a 13 swivel, a 15, an 18, a 19, and a 21 swivel socket, a 6 and an 8 Allen socket, a 14, 18, and 19 millimeter wrench, pair of pliers, pair of diagonal cutters, and 2 pairs of vice grips. Also not shown will be pole jacks, a spring compressor tool if you may need it, cutting tool, and also a ratchet strap. All right, today we're gonna be installing a lift kit on our Jeep Wrangler. First, we're gonna start with our uninstall, and then we'll install a new lift kit. All right, before we start dropping the rear axle, we just need to do a couple things with our parking brake lines. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna set our parking brake so we can disconnect our lines from each side of the axle. All right, now the parking brake is set. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take a pair of vice grips, clamp it onto this tab sticking out of the brakes, lock that in, do the same thing on the other side, and then we're gonna release the parking brake so we can take it off each side. All right, now that our e-brake is released, what we can do is we can disconnect the cable from our tab here. You may need to pry it out a little bit just to get some more slack. All right, and now we'll release the cable from this mounting point here. Just grab a screwdriver or a pick, just push the tabs in. All right, and so repeat the same process for the other cable. All right, now there's a top bracket for the parking brake cables that is above the fuel lines, mounted to the body. There's a 13mm bolt holding it on, so we're just gonna take that and the bracket off. All right, now to make a little bit more slack in our parking brake cables, what we need to do is we need to reroute them under the frame and under the fuel lines. All right, now we can reinstall our cables onto our brakes. Just want to do this side, we'll have it going through. Just slide it through till it clips. Put our end back in our bracket. Do the same thing for the other side. All right, and now we can remove our vice grips. All right, we're now ready to start lowering the rear axle. What we're going to do is we're going to support the rear axle with 2 pull jacks underneath, and then we're going to remove the vent tube and the track bar. All right, now we're gonna grab a pair of pliers, loosen the clamp on the hose, and then we'll pull the vent tube off. Now we can take our bolt out of our track bar. All right, now we're gonna grab our impact with a 21mm socket and take our bolt out of our track bar. All right, now we just need to take this rear panel out so we can access our top shock bolt. It's just 3 8mm bolts. We'll just take them out now. All right, now we want to take our 10mm bolt out of our bracket for our brake lines just to give our lines a little bit of slack when we drop the axle. All right, we're going to take our top bolt out of our shock. It's an 18mm bolt. All right, we can now remove our bottom shock bolt and our sway bar links. They are all going to be 18mm sockets or wrench, so you can take them off now. All right, for our top bolt on our sway bar link, we're going to grab an 18mm wrench and a 6mm Allen to hold the stud. All right, and we're going to take the 13mm bolt out of our bracket for our brake lines to give us more room. All right, now we can just repeat the same process on the other side. All right, now we're ready to lower the rear so we can get our rear springs out. What we're going to do is lower them evenly on both sides until we release tension on the springs. All right, now that there's no tension on the springs, we can pull our springs out. All right, we're going to install our new rear springs. One thing to note, our left and right spring are different, so just double check your part numbers and make sure you put the right spring in the right place. All right, we're going to put a rear spring in. Just make sure that the top and bottom of the spring line up in the bottom and top mounts. And same thing for the other side. All right, now we're just going to raise our pull jacks up evenly and seat our springs into place. All right, now we can start installing our new sway bar links. All right, we're gonna put our bracket back in place and reinstall our 13mm bolt. All right, we can install our new supplied sway bar link. The longer ones will go into the rear. Line it up, take our supplied 19mm nut, thread that on. Then we're gonna take our supplied 8mm Allen bolt and 19mm nut, put it through the bottom. All right, we're now gonna install our rear shock. We're gonna start with our top mount bolt. Now also make sure to double check your part numbers with the shocks. The longer shocks will go in the rear. Just slide that into place and reinstall our 18mm bolt. All right, now to reinstall the bottom bolt, you just need to lift up on it just to get it lined up in place. And then tighten everything down with the 18mm socket and wrench. All right, we can now install our mounting plate for our bump stop. We're going to use our supplied 6mm Allen bolts and our 14mm wrench and install it through the axle on our flat plate up here. All right, we're now going to install our bump stop, place that over top, and we're going to take our two supplied 8mm Allen bolts and our flat washers, stick them over, put our bracket through the middle, and thread the bolts up through the bottom. All right, we're going to put our brake line bracket back in place. We're going to put our 10mm bolt that we took out back in. All right, we're going to put our rear plastic cover back in with our 3 8mm bolts that we took out. All right, now we just repeat the same process for the other side. All right, now we just need to reinstall our bolt for our track bar. As you can see, what I've done is put a ratchet strap from one end of our rear axle to the top point of our track bar, and that'll just pull the hole right into place so you can reinsert our bolt. All right, we're gonna grab our ratchet with our 21mm socket and tighten that down. All right, we're gonna reconnect our vent for our axle. Got a pair of pliers. Push it back down. And now we can move our pole jacks out of the way. All right, now we're gonna get ready to drop our front axle. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna support it with our pole jacks, and then we're gonna get some slack on our brake lines by removing 2 brackets. All right, first we're gonna grab a 10mm socket and take the top bracket off. We're gonna grab a 15mm socket and take the nut off the lower control arm here. All right, now for this bracket on both sides, this bracket will actually be removed. So what you'll need to do is cut very lightly a slit into the backside, not all the way through the metal, but just enough so that you can get in here and bend it away from the brake line. You just want to be careful that you don't damage the brake line. We're not going to be removing ours for demonstration purposes. We're just going to disconnect it and set it behind. All right, now we're going to take our bottom bolt out of our shock. What we're going to do is grab a ratchet with an 18mm socket and 18mm wrench. All right, we can take our top shock bolt out now. It's also an 18mm socket. All right, we can take our bottom bolt out of our front sway bar link. It's an 18mm nut and 18mm bolt. All right, we're gonna take the top nut off of our front sway bar link. We're gonna use a 6mm Allen to hold the stud and an 18mm wrench to take the nut off. All right, now we just repeat that same process for the other side. All right, now we just need to disconnect this vent tube for the front axle, just so we don't pull too hard on this. So we're gonna grab a pair of pliers, pinch the clamp, and just pull the line off. All right, we just have this one connector on our front axle. What we're gonna do is we're gonna release the wiring by taking our two clips off here. All right, we just take our same tool, release our locking tab, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna push in on the clip, push down, and then pull out. All right, now we need to take our 21mm bolt out of our front track bar. What we're gonna do is grab an impact, an extension, and 21mm swivel socket. All right, now we're just gonna slowly, evenly lower the front axle so we can release tension on our springs and remove both of them. All right, take both our springs out and both our bottom spring mounts out. All right, now we can install our new supplied lower spring mount. Easy way to install it. The flat side will go towards the outside of the car, and there's also a pin on the bottom that will locate in the axle. Slide it down and repeat the same thing for the other side. All right, we're now ready to install our new spring. Now you may need a spring compressor to compress it a little bit to get the new spring in there since it is longer. We were able to lower our front end enough so we could just slide it in. But when you're going to install it, just make sure that you have the bump stop in the spring when you go to install it, because you will not be able to once the spring is installed. All right, just make sure the springs are lined up in the grooves on the bottom and top mount. And then we just repeat the same process for the other side. All right, we can install our bump stop now. We're gonna take our supplied 6mm Allen bolt and nut that they give us. Slide that through the middle. Thread our nut on the bottom. All right, we're gonna use the wrench that they supply us in the kit to hold the bottom. All right, now you just repeat that for the other bump stop. All right, we're gonna put our new sway bar links in. We're gonna put it through the top. We're gonna put our supplied 19mm nut at the top. And then we're gonna reuse our hardware at the bottom. And we're gonna tighten them down top with a 6mm Allen and a 19mm wrench, and the bottom with an 18mm. All right, we can repeat the same thing for the other sway bar link. All right, we're gonna take our new front shock and we're gonna install it with our old hardware with our 18mm bolt. All right, now to get our lower mount in, we just need to raise the axle up a little bit, get that lined up. Stick our old hardware in. Then use the 18mm ratchet and wrench and tighten that down. All right, now we're gonna reinstall our brake line bracket. Slide that into place, use our old 10mm bolt. All right, now you just repeat the same process for the shock and sway bar and mount for the other side. All right, now to get the front track bar reinstalled, what we're gonna do is we have the Jeep back down the ground on its wheels on its own weight. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna have another set of hands inside and turn the wheels slightly so we can get the hole to line up so we can get our bolt through. Before you start turning the wheel though, just make sure you plug in your connector on the back so you don't have any fault codes when you turn the ignition on. All right, we can now reinstall our vent line. Just grab a pair of pliers on the clamp. Slide it back on. All right, and as you can see, we do have our connector plugged back in on our axle. Just to keep note, up here, there was a zip tie holding this harness together. Just take a pair of diagonal cutters to get you a little bit extra slack. And then we can plug in this one push clip just to keep it secured to the axle. All right, and that wraps up our install of our TerraFlex 2.5-inch coil spring base suspension lift kit with 9550 shocks for an 18 to 23 Jeep Wrangler JL 2-door. And remember, for everything Wrangler, keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.